After months of mall expansion debate, Duluth voters will be heard on Tuesday as they head to the polls. The heart of the controversy is whether or not to allow land around the Miller Hill Mall to be rezoned from residential to commercial. Now, members of two community action groups are hoping to sway undecided voters to their side of the issue.
So instead, we're talking to people, and we're knocking on their doors, we're calling them on the phone, encouraging them really to vote no.
Members of the group Citizens for Building Duluth recently launched an extensive campaign urging residents to vote in favor of mall expansion. They say a green light for the Miller Hill projects would be a shot in the arm for the local economy.
Because those property tax dollars go right to local services, police and fire, streets, schools, things like that. You bet. I mean, there's a one-to-one relationship. If we get an extra $1 million in local taxes, we'll get an extra $1 million in the ability to pay for local services.
Though they stand on opposite sides of this issue, members of both groups share a concern for Duluth's future. But their formulas for improving the community are vastly different.
We're going to be looking forward to a lot of citizens turning out. It really is an opportunity for us to give some direction to the future of this city.
Including more stores to the local market will definitely take away from the market that already exists.
Didn't see any reason to send it in before today.
I just put it off because I kind of forgot about it.
These were some of the many excuses we heard today from last-minute tax filers. Hundreds of people rushed into this post office in a panic to file their taxes. For those with questions, relief was close by.
We have, as you said, the volunteer tax preparers here, helping people to file their extensions or fill out their forms.
The volunteers worked through the day, helping those in need. The most common tax question?
Can I file a late return? And is there a payment plan?
If you can't file your taxes by midnight, you need to file for an extension, even if the government owes you money. If you owe money, you must pay 90% of last year's taxes. If you can't do that, the government will let you make payments. These steps, with the help of volunteer tax preparers, help late filers get through a stressful day.
Actually, I came down here and I was going to ask someone at the counter, and then I just saw the big sign and I said, that's where I'm going because I need help.
In Duluth, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
We have one time all the way through, pretend this is the real thing.
Tim, make sure your mic is on, please.
From the top. From the top. Ready.
Good morning, Kaposia.
This was rehearsal, a daily rehearsal for the daily Kaposia Kids Television Network news show. Joyce Rasmussen's 6th graders do what they call Wacky Wednesday. That's why the coonskin cap and the paper airplanes and the bad joke sign.
Should we try that one more time?
Yeah.
They've been doing this every school day since February. Each crew comes to school about an hour early to polish the presentation, and then around 9, when the rest of the students arrive and begin settling in for the school day, rather than listening to the principal, as happens in many schools, they gather around the television to watch the upper-class students.
We hope you're doing your best as Stanford Testing Week continues here at Kaposia.
This show was a combination of announcements, a little shtick.
Hey, Tim, what's 5Q plus 5Q?
Well, that's easy. 10Q.
You're welcome, Tim. 10Q? You're welcome. Get it?
The watching students like to see their friends out here doing it, so the point is to have them use the technology, have some fun, get some experience, feel good about themselves. A lot of good things going on.
Let's make today a good day and think spring. Buckaroos. Adios.
You're off. Nice job.
They do a nice job, and some of the viewers see real potential here. Ken Speak for NBC News.
As Duluthians head to the polls today to decide the future of mall expansion, nobody's venturing a guess as to which way the vote will go. Even Duluth city councilors can't seem to decide for sure.
I keep changing my mind 3 times a day about whether it's going to pass or whether it's going to fail, or if one will pass and the other won't.
But if the measures fail, Hogue says officials would have to take a time out to figure out what to do next.
I would predict that if one or both of them fail, that we would find that there'd be some delay before we knew what might happen next. We wouldn't know it soon.
DETA board member David Wheeler doesn't exactly see it that way. He says that if the rezoning measure is denied, mall developers may not give up the fight.
Well, if it's voted down, my guess is because those 2 pieces of property are still very prime pieces of real estate, that those developers or others will think about it and probably rearrange or reconfigure what they might suggest doing, and they might bring it back again.
But voters seem very interested in deciding this issue for themselves. Turnout today was reported slightly higher than for the Bayfront referendum 2 years ago. Traditionally, special elections draw the fewest numbers of voters, but today might be the exception that proves the rule.
On Tuesday afternoon, April 16th, a young man from West Duluth rode his new Raleigh 18-speed bike to the Spirit Valley Mall to meet some friends. He had saved his money for the bike and was very pleased with his purchase. He left the bike outside one of the stores, but didn't lock it. He wouldn't be gone long, and it was the middle of the day with plenty of people around. When he returned 5 minutes later, the bike was gone. The bicycle theft season is into high gear now that the snow is almost gone. And Duluth police fear there will be another 250 to 300 bikes stolen again this year. Help prevent the theft of your bike by always locking it and recording the serial number. Call Crime Stoppers if you have any information about the young man's bike or any bike theft. You'll remain anonymous and could receive a cash reward. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
There's a new van in town. You may have seen it. The sign says, "Rent a husband." That's right, a husband, a sub-spouse. And who'd do a job like that? Cale Warren would, and does. Believe me, this guy takes his work very seriously.
We go in, we do it professionally, we do it quickly, and get it done.
Get what done? What is this rent-a-husband? An escort service, a dating game, or just someone that women can call up and henpeck once in a while? The answer? None of the above. Rent-a-husband is simply a handyman. He can build a deck, fix a kitchen, even finish up all those do-it-yourself projects that never got done.
The common theme that I find when I go to visit homeowners is that the husbands don't have the time to do it, don't have the inclination to do it, just simply don't have the tools.
Now, the wives we talk to love this guy. They say he's good, he's fast, and he never gets in a fight with the in-laws.
I would say call Rent-A-Husband. I'd do it today. I wouldn't wait another minute. And get those jobs done around the house.
Now, you'd think that husbands might be a little embarrassed about having to bring in a pinch hitter, but surprisingly, they're not embarrassed at all.
I think it's a great idea. I think that, it gives a guy like me a little more free time on Sunday to head out to the track or do whatever he wants to do, watch the ball games, and not have to listen to your wife. Why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that?
Yes, everyone loves Cale Warren, the rent-a-husband. Funny, you'd think a guy like this would end up wrecking more homes than he could fix. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
In the end, when we get done, I think that to some extent we actually improve marital relationships. And we go in and do it, and the husband comes home at night and it's done. He's able to spend quality time with his mate, and I really think we're improving marital relationships.
So women, don't let your house or your marriage fall apart just because your spouse can't get off the couch.
Come on, Conseco, you bum. Oh.
So please, call Rent-A-Husband now, before it's too late. Operators are standing by. For NBC News, Bob Elliott, Portland, Maine.
I know just about everybody in the property guy on a first name basis. To each other, we do a lot of. As workers at National Steel Pellet Company, we pledge running up in Milton.
Historically, the steel business has been cyclic in nature with a lot of peaks, a lot of troughs, and with a good year in the steel end of this business, there's also a good year in the pellet end of the business.
I think that during the past couple of years that we have observed, we at the Center for Human Rights and Constitutional Law in Los Angeles have observed an increase in police brutality directed against people of color.
Every age has its mythos, its underlying myth, and it has its problems. That these myths arise in dreams, they arise into the collective conscious.
One of Professor Smith's challenges is to teach these young people about young people of the past.
No, sir.
Peter Pan, a favorite kid's story from the 50s. In the late 60s, faced with growing up and joining the establishment, some of us dropped out and began to search for our own Never Never Land, promoting the eternal childhood myth.
The emphasis upon not growing up. In a society that's competitive and materialistic, wanting to not grow up, the typical Peter Pan theme.
Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam.
Flower power and all that. Haight-Ashbury and the Summer of Love. Come with a flower in your hand. Why are they doing these things? Some people would argue they're just spoiled kids, but that doesn't wash. That begs the question. Why are they doing the things that they're doing?
Fun, fear, and frustration. Millions of us shared so much in our formative years. There was the threat of nuclear annihilation and the nation's first youthful president who promised so much for the country.
That the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
They will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
We witnessed the assassination of visionaries who said there was a better way. And then there was the confusion and the heartache of a war that claimed thousands of big and little brothers and our best friends.
I had friends come back severely damaged, nightmares for the rest of their lives, nightmares to this day, unable to hold down a job, unable to see the purpose for work.
It was a tumultuous time, and its events impacted every member of the boomer generation. Some chose to drop out to live in communes. Others set out to chase the American dream on a college campus, while others vowed to follow in their parents' footsteps. Somewhere along the way, most of us did grow up.
Things. I came to peace with a backyard and a lawnmower, and kind of quote-unquote suburbia, and felt like that wasn't the enemy any longer.
If you're not here in 10 minutes for the Northland's #1 rated 6 p.m. newscast, here's what you'll miss.
Congressional witnesses say FAA negligence may have contributed to 1993's Hibbing commuter plane crash. We'll have that story and all your news at 6 o'clock.
We'll see you at 6 on 6.
You're looking sort of drowsy.
90-year-old James Lum of Saginaw has been writing songs like this one since he was 21, back in 1927. Some of them have even caught the eye of U.S. presidents.
I met them with Bing Crosby in California. Yeah, I wrote this song for them. Not so very long ago.
But it's this song he wrote 52 years ago for his two daughters, Joyce and Ruth, called Daddy's Lullaby, that has caught the ear of a California record company. In fact, they liked it so much, they put it on a newly released album called America.
Oh, I like it when I hear it. Yeah, because I think the kids and everything.
Never mind, this retired painter can't read a musical note, play an instrument, or sing, so he says.
Close your little sleepy eyes.
Writing songs is just something he loves to do. He's written over 50. They are usually songs about things going on around him or about his family. The shirt he's wearing is a sign of that. His daughter promised to send it to him.
Write your first song and that you get out. We're going to send it to.
Why that kind of shirt? What'd she tell you?
Well, because that's what the singers wear.
Look pretty sharp in that.
Yeah, I won't use it for golfing.
So what's next for this 90-year-old songwriter who's had his most precious song just released? Well, he says he'd like to sing to Oprah.
Close your little sleepy eyes. I'm not the best singer.
In Saginaw, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
But sometimes this can be a real problem, I feel, and that is being that the population.
Doctor's down emergency.
So we're with them, playing with them. You can tell if they get up and move. I've got a Mustang horse. Yeah.
So as soon as the doctor says everything goes okay,
my dad ain't gonna be able to knock the breath completely out of him. I had to give him CPR. Like this happens when emergency happens. It's like
you're scared. I didn't know you're pleading. I was praying, you know. I was just praying because I knew I couldn't do it on my own. So I was praying, and Lord helped me through that. So.
The second thing we've done, which is important in an area like Duluth Superior, is that we were one of the first states forward legislatively. Again, it's the continuing advancing.
hello.
Second, particularly in a place like Duluth.
I think the police take it seriously, and they've taken the time to become educated about the issues involved in domestic violence. They're extremely important because we're always looking for more information about training and about better ways to address issues of domestic violence.
Gang banging. I know some gang stuff, and they was like blood. You know what I'm saying? This blood. And then the other dude was like, you know, this is Cobra Stone or something. And then they dipped that way and they dipped that way, and they was like, we'll be back.
When police showed up at 16th Avenue South, they found Clement Neal dead
from gunshot wounds. His neighbors worry who will be next.
I don't never let her come out here and play or nothing because all these game makers outside and all kinds of stuff is happening around here. I don't never let her come outside and play.
Police believe this is a gang-related homicide and that the shooting was not random. The Minneapolis police chief came here to talk about the growing number of homicides.
This just reiterates the kind of problem that we're having out here in the streets and the kind of things that the police department is dead set on doing everything we can to try and slow this down.
But right now, Minneapolis has the fastest growing murder rate in the country, and police are still searching for whoever took Neil's life. Molly Boyum, Minnesota 9 News.
He'll be in and out, basically, is our understanding, that he has to work. Hard for them, and we don't have any space in the building. This year then would be the case, and we wanted to make sure that the students had the opportunity to have their families and their supporters at their commencement. So that's why we went this route, and it turned out that only a dozen at this point don't have everyone that they wanted or enough tickets for everyone.
It had to do with the international market. Very difficult for a knitting company to compete with the Oriental markets on the wage scales that they're on.
That are earning our living because of the Great Lakes and waterborne transport far inland, as we do in the United States, to get at it. 1,000-footers parked over at the coal dock. So today we are trying to remember the need for a strong merchant marine, and we're trying to give that message to the Congress that we need to maintain a strong merchant marine locally. That leads us into the reason, or some of the reasons why this merchant marine may not be as strong as it once was. The United States has been very proud.
The green up of the Northland is well underway. Spring fever has turned into plant fever, with many of us wondering what to plant. The All-American selections for 1996 are in. Petunias lead the field and have been selected as annuals of the year. The Perennial Plant Association plant of the year is Husker's Red, as seen here in a Northland garden, ready to take off in color after a long winter. One of the interesting trends in planting is the return of the old-fashioned plants. Now, these old-fashioned plants really do well in the harsh Northland climate. They're practical, hardy, full of nostalgia. Now, it's the old-fashioned roses that lead this new trend, and as Julie Overham tells us, these plants live up to the hype.
I can't imagine a garden without old roses now. These are also plants that work very well in a perennial garden situation. They blend, the colors blend very well with a lot of the perennial plants.
The old-fashioned roses are in fashion because of renewed interest in the old cottage style of gardening. These roses played an integral part in North European gardens for many centuries.
I found out that not only were they hardy and did not require the work that a hybrid tea does, but they also have tremendous fragrance. The flower form is varied. You have everything from single-flowered plants to the very quartered, old-fashioned forms that people love.
These roses will be blooming by late June and survived our rough winter quite easily. They smell so good that perfumes are made with their fragrance, and as Julie says, it's absolutely what you would find in your grandma's garden. I'm meteorologist Mickey Prangley, Channel 6 News.
We wanted something really exciting to tie in the customers, some local merchants, and the finest musicians in the area and combine it into something more exciting than just your average concert even.
And a cupcake. But he was approached by a motorist who was having difficulty with his car, and the motorist asked for a jump start. Needed his battery jumped, and the suspect apologized, said, "Sorry, can't help you." We're very much interested in talking to anyone who was having difficulty getting their car started at an area gas station between the hours of, say, 2 and 5 a.m. last Sunday morning.
that awaited them as a result. Roy attended...
When I first ran for office, I also said I would run in a primary, that the people should decide. And I say that once again because this is like the first time all over again. I'm going to run in the primary, let hundreds of thousands of people decide, not just a small convention.
Officials are digging through the wreckage in the wooded, swampy area north of Aiken where the plane crashed. 4 men were killed in the accident. The Aiken County Sheriff says they were returning to Ottumwa, Iowa from a fishing trip in Canada.
That FAA reported that we had a downed plane in our county. And they gave us approximate location, and then we sent out people to start searching in that area.
The plane crashed just 6 miles north of Aiken in the wooded area behind me. Neighbors say that a huge rain and hailstorm rolled through the area, which may have contributed to the accident.
Well, it's a little early to surmise. You know, we've got some reports of weather in the area, severe weather, thunderstorm type activity. You know, I guess a very experienced pilot and a pretty good airplane.
2 young men who worked on a nearby rice farm may have heard the plane crash.
We heard a loud boom, but we thought it was just thunder and lightning out here, so we thought it's just another bolt of lightning or something like that.
When Joshua and Mark found out a plane had crashed in the swamp behind them, they went into action, taking officials to the scene on their ATVs.
We knew the area and the terrain around here because we ride the four-wheelers around to check the patties and everything all the time, and we just thought we'd come out here and do everything we could to help.
It was just a mess. That's all you can say. It was a mess, a disaster.
The tail and the wing were torn from the body of the plane.
It's still running through me. I mean, it just puts it's like ice running through your veins.
Officials will continue to investigate the wreckage and try to determine a cause. In Aiken County, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
In most cases, the buds on the trees are still real healthy and growing. You're starting to see them popping open now, and so the trees should survive just fine.
I say if landowners see the tree still brown with no active growth in July, then I would say they can go ahead and cut the tree down. But at this point, we're starting to see a lot of
And there are a number of chapter members who believe that there will be another severe winter in the next 5 to 6 winters. And another severe winter will really do a lot of harm to the resource and to the deer herd. So we're going to be looking at that. In fact, meteorologists have noted a change in the weather patterns. So from a scientific standpoint, there certainly is another possibility of a very severe winter in the future here. And that would be definitely.
This is a sound that Duluthians will hear for about 5 days. The city is conducting sound trials of the old steam whistle that may become a part of Duluthians' lives again.
The police department has expressed an interest in it, in identifying the curfew the way it was in days gone by. And we felt the best time to do it would be during the day instead of at night. And Police Chief Lyons has his squads out in various parts of town listening to where they can hear it.
The whistle has been around for close to 50 years. Officials say in the 30s and 40s, people used these type of whistles to start and end their day. The steam whistle will sound at 1 o'clock for 15 seconds just about every day this week. And most residents that we spoke to say they don't mind.
Oh, I thought it sounded kind of great. I wondered what it was.
I think then we'd be able to keep track of the time better. It would be a good thing, yes.
I thought it was kind of nice. It reminds me of an old work whistle or something where everyone's supposed to be back from lunch or...
Steam plant officials are hopeful residents will accept the whistle.
I hope it's favorable. It will be on a controlled basis. We're looking at approximately 15 seconds at 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then 10:30 for the curfew.
In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
Friend, Barris.
It's a stormtrooper.
They determined that one of the individuals here was a wanted felon, and then they noticed some guns in the house. They waited for backup squads to arrive.
After we suggested, check the boxes.
And I've been a part of different efforts over the years to celebrate diversity and understand differences and make room for each other and respect those differences so that we can all contribute to the creativity in our community.
Is the juvenile officer that brought him home. Mommy's on her way, honey.
I can't be on TV.
Yes, you're going to be on TV. Medication. Her psychologist said she's so friendly, she'd probably go with anybody. Oh, God, I don't know.
You periodically, so
yes,
they know.
and you know that's what's worried me is because they always call me when they are going to come from school from lunch because this one needs. Yes, you got to get and this one's on medication.
We are here tonight to stand in support of the high-quality county-run nursing homes and to show our solidarity for the workers who provide that care.
Some people don't know what this is all about or what they can do.
About any of these attacks, because I'm a senator that stands with senior citizens. I stand.
Make veterans the #1 target. They make the environment the #1 target. And we
are not going to let them get away with that, because when they make me the #1 target, they make my state the #1 target, they make all of you the #1 target, and that is why we will win this race decisively.
They're getting in anyway. They're breaking the windows to get in. They're just opening the door, finding the door open. The biggest problem we have is the valuable stuff that's left inside.
Yeah.
Lord, that thou wouldst
Things went very well last night. For the thousands of people that were down there, there were very, very few problems, and it looks as though everybody just had a real good time.
That shack I just built 2 days ago, or had it built, and then that's it. My motorcycle is in there, lawnmower ended up over there.
And what's your feeling on all that? Did you even imagine this?
really start now taking
As we take samples from both sides of the beach itself has higher counts. It's basically indicating that it's caused by the people that are using the beach and the birds.
A system like the one we have in this aircraft now is very inexpensive by comparison, and it's leading to a technology that might possibly be used by the FAA and the aviation industry for tracking aircraft and for doing air traffic control using a much more reliable, much more fail-safe approach.
I really feel like I've time traveled 15 years back. It's fantastic. New lease on life.
And you're good looking, too.
Yeah.
We're sick and tired of bands getting up there and tying their shoelaces and thinking that's a show. We want to bring spectacle back to rock and roll. That's our mission in life. The fans have given us the power. We will deliver.
The show is great. It's awesome. There's no other show that compares to it. I mean, the whole thing is there. The theatrics, the music, everything.
I mean, way back when we started, no matter what it took, we did it. You know, we just always took so much pride for the fans. So, for the fans, it's important to us to give you all or nothing.
Paul Stanley. The hair, the tattoo. Definitely I will be here at a KISS concert again.
That's the only band I listened to when I was younger, so that's all pretty much how I grew up. With my childhood was KISS, and my favorite was Peter Criss.
Anyone who never saw KISS years ago will finally get a chance to see KISS live now. The ones who missed it the first time around, and you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely.
You wanted the best?
One of the best. You wanted the best, you got the best.
The hottest
band in the world.
On Wednesday evening, June 5th, a young couple had their apartment burglarized at Lake Avenue and 5th Street in Duluth. They locked the doors but failed to deadbolt the back door, which the burglars later pried open. The thieves targeted the couple's electronic equipment. They stole 2 computers and monitors, a color television set, and a stereo system with all its components. The loss totaled over $5,000. Call Crime Stoppers if you know who the burglars are or what they did with the equipment. We'll keep your name a secret by setting up a series of callback times and issuing you a Crime Stopper number. You could also receive a reward up to $1,000 in cash. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
It's been said that trouble comes in threes, and for the UMD athletic department, that's certainly true. First was a report last month stating athletic director Bruce McLeod was investigated for alleged witness tampering in an assault case involving a visiting hockey player. Then allegations that a prominent booster siphoned donated money into his business account, money that was intended for UMD. And now the Minneapolis Star-Tribune reports that the department violated its own rules regarding nepotism in hiring assistant coaches and, more importantly, allegedly took money from the women's athletic program to run its own administration. Students say they're not surprised.
I think that's the school's biggest pet project is their hockey team and football. But I mean, I think incidents in the past year or two have shown that, you know, if you're a male and you play hockey and if you go to your class once in a while, then you pretty much get whatever you want.
We tried to talk with some coaches in the athletic department, but they said they wouldn't comment until the investigation is complete. One coach we talked to off camera said the allegations are lies. Truth or lie, UMD officials have requested an investigation of the allegations against the department and also won't comment until it's done. Meanwhile, more students say UMD needs to get to the bottom of the problem.
They need to work at trying to make things a little bit more fair and a little bit more equal for everyone. I mean, not even just money, just the way everything's done at UMD is kind of shady.
The newspaper also says that assistant football coach Jim Molosky Jr. and assistant women's basketball coach Dave Stromey were hired in disregard of the school's nepotism policy in place at the time of their hiring. Molosky's father and Stromey's sister are head coaches of their respective teams. In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
Some out of 300 in some school districts outperform us in basic reading. We have to have responsible. We know through research, I think that organization and the financial foundation that about 2/3 of the state's school districts outperform Duluth in basic reading, and 3/4 outperform Duluth in basic math. This is not acceptable for the Duluth Public Schools.
I just couldn't believe the overwhelming amount of people and interest in this. And it brings so many people to our wonderful area.
It's difficult on this sad day to make sense of a tragedy that created so many victims, so many tears, and so few answers. We don't know why your innocent loved ones were taken from this earth, whether they were the victims of unspeakable evil or horrible circumstance. And yet today, that seems to make little difference.
We grieve for the innocents lost, and we wonder, know all of you, that we,
If they look forward to a vacation or they reminisce.
taken in flight, the death of these 230 men and women has had an impact upon us all. We mourn their silence, we grieve for the innocents lost, and we wonder, to ourselves and sometimes out loud, how something so tragic, so devastating, could possibly befall upon us.
Name God. Our grief and our sorrow shows us
this horrible loss. And as you struggle to make sense of this awful disaster, I hope that you know that the entire nation mourns with you.
You were content to let me shine.
and dash away, but you always walked a step behind.
The property between Central Entrance and Anderson Road is zoned residential. Developers plan to put in 240 or more single-family homes on lots as small as city zoning ordinance will allow. The proposed housing development would be called Hamlet Green. It's an alternative plan to the Opus Mall, which was killed in April by a citywide vote. This large piece of equipment sits idle just off Anderson Road. Duluth Mayor Gary Doty told us within days of site work beginning here, he began to receive calls from neighbors who said they changed their mind. The mayor said the neighbors told him they'd rather have the Opus Mall back than all those low-cost houses. But residents on Anderson and Trinity Roads say they don't know who the mayor is talking to, but the majority of them strongly prefer a housing development to another mall.
We can live with this development, and to go back to Opus is not something that we will tolerate. It's a dead issue as far as we're concerned.
Neighbors say they don't object to the low-cost housing at all, but would like to see some modifications, such as changing the planned main entry and exit from the undeveloped Cherry Street to Central Entrance. But landowner Dave Goldberg says neighbors have no say in this legally zoned residential development.
We're going to try to work with them, but they have to realize they've been against us from the day one, and we have no reason to necessarily cooperate.
Goldberg also says neighbors who think they won't have to pay for increased city assessments related to Hamlet Green are wrong. He says neighbors will have to bear some of the costs. On Miller Hill in Duluth, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News. This video of the murder scene has provided the only relevant information so far in the murder-suicide investigation. On July 12th, the bodies of convicted murderer James Wentala and his last victim, Susan Irene Stingley, were found in Wentala's van. Authorities say Wentala strangled Stingley with a green bandana and then committed suicide. His last words were scratched into his dashboard.
No one to help. No one who cares reached my end.
Now that Wentala's dead, authorities in several nearby jurisdictions are investigating to see if he might have been responsible for other murders.
Other agencies are interested in some of the movements that Wentala may have made in their community. There are some that are interested because they have some open homicide cases.
Authorities are trying to establish the time of death. Autopsies on the bodies showed Wentala and Stingley had been dead for 3 to 4 weeks before they were found. But authorities say Stingley's body was much more decomposed than Wentala's. They believe Wentala may have driven around with Stingley's body in his car for some time. What investigators say they need most now is help from the public. They're asking anyone who may have seen James Wentala or Susan Stingley after June 19th to contact the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. In the meantime, they've hired a forensic entomologist to help them discover how long the two had been dead.
They'll lay their eggs, and then that process will take place until they hatch out, relay eggs again, and they can review that process based on the eggs and the flies that are removed from the corpses of both of the individuals.
Authorities are also waiting for the full autopsy results from the State Crime Lab in Madison. In Superior, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News.
Sure.
Thanks for waiting. At this time, I'd like to board from the rear of the aircraft. Rows 10.
Chaos. Just pure bedlam and chaos. People were trying to get out of the park. Yesterday was supposedly the busiest day the park had ever seen, expecting about 1.5 million people. We talked to some eyewitnesses that were on the scene, and for the most part, they were helping other people that were injured. One guy said he saw a couple people go down and blood all over the place. You know, it was proof because he had blood on himself, and he was explaining how he had helped others or helped others make sure they got some help. And it's just, I still can't believe it happened. It's sad, obviously.
Oh, the fair's all right. I don't like the cold weather. I'd just as soon have it sunny and 80. That's my kind of weather. But what do you do? What do you do?
The FMCS will have 2 negotiating committees made up of mostly northern Minnesotans. Their task is to find consensus on the BWCA and the Voyageurs National Park issues.
History has shown that legislative action hadn't really resolved this, finally. I mean, if it had, we wouldn't be in this room here today. And so a lot of people seem to think that even if one or the other bill passed, it would still be a good thing to go ahead and go through this process.
One committee will work on issues concerning the BWCA, while the other works on Voyageurs National Park. They separated the two for many reasons.
So what we're attempting to do is design a mediation process to where we can handle both of them roughly parallel, so that there isn't, one doesn't sit on the back burner, and so that we can make progress on trying to bring resolution to both the boundary waters and the Voyageurs disputes.
One pro-wilderness activist selected for the BWCA committee says if this process can work, it will put this issue further ahead.
While I don't think the mediation process is going to be a lot of fun, and I am somewhat skeptical about the possibility of consensus, it's time that we try something like this.
Others aren't so sold on the mediation process. A member of the group Conservationists for Common Sense says mediation is a waste of time.
We are still willing to consider compromising and working within the framework of the legislative process, but we reject this alternative dispute resolution process completely.
In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
It's been a generation since the circus was the greatest show on earth, but for one night only in communities across the Northland, that show is back. Under the biggest big top most of these people have ever seen, the King Royal Circus set up in Moose Lake. Like the old days, animals are the biggest draw. Lions and tigers and, sorry, no bears, were among the 100 exotic animals in the circus. The kids just can't get enough.
They love it. How could you not love it? You know, the clowns are funny, and they got lots of animals, animals you won't see traveling anywhere else in North America. Hippopotamus, giraffes, zebras, all those things.
This is one of 5 giraffes in a circus that can walk on a lead, and this pygmy hippo is the only working one of its kind in the world. The circus even had llamas and the more practical ponies. And the elephants are the more popular attractions here at the circus. The kids get to get on them and ride them. The trainers work with the elephants for at least 12 hours a day. They are responsible for teaching them tricks, keeping them clean, and transporting them safely.
Oh, I love it. It's a great job. Tom, where are you going? Come here, Tommy. I get to do a lot more with the animals. They're a lot happier than, say, some of the other animals I've had to work with.
And does he want this? We were interested in what little Tommy was doing, and he, for sure, was interested in what we were doing. In Moose Lake, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
That is Richard Jewell's apartment complex behind me, where federal agents have spent the last 10 hours going through his things. Jewell is also inside watching this search into his past and his possible future.
Richard, it's Don Johnson. Can you open the door, please?
FBI agents arrived this morning to search Richard Jewell's apartment, his pickup truck, and this cabin he rents in rural northern Georgia, looking for evidence to connect a security guard to the pipe bombing.
This search is part of an ongoing investigative process and does not indicate in any way that Mr. Jewell has been charged with a crime under our system of justice.
Jewell first spotted the abandoned knapsack in Centennial Park. The question is whether he also put it there.
Last year, there were too many carriages for the walk here, so there were carriages up on the sidewalk by the statue. And the city was approached about the problem, and they have told us that we can park the extra carriages along the lake walk up there, which we do, and it seems to be working out fine.
The material was in the ground, was running off the barrels into the ground. So, and it.
This landfill contains toxic chemicals that environmentalists are upset about. Dan Conley worries the toxics will pollute the St. Louis River and even homeowners' drinking water.
When you have a demo site, it acts as a funnel for all the water to filter down and cause migration of what's inside.
An independent firm analyzed 70 barrels on the surface of the landfill and found 5 contained hazardous materials. The Cloquet City engineer is also worried about additional contamination because still more barrels may be buried underground.
Nobody knows at this point what's beneath the surface. Certainly the possibility of other materials that could be hazardous still remains, so additional investigation will have to take place.
Landfills like this can be found throughout much of America. In the past, disposal laws were close to non-existent. One nearby landfill resident says digging up the past may be like opening a can of worms.
I don't have any personal concerns about our drinking water. I've had it tested several times and tested for heavy metals, etc., and it's never come up with any kind of contaminants.
Subsack says if more tests are ordered on underground barrels, his well could be contaminated.
Now they may start doing test wells right in the landfill and now breaking the clay barrier, and some of the contaminants, which we all know are there, will go down into the drinking water. So as far as I'm concerned, the best thing to do would be just to leave the situation the way it is and leave it alone.
Everyone has a different opinion to how the situation should be handled, but they all agree that they don't want to see the past come back and harm the future. In Cloquet, Molly Boyum, Channel 6 News.
Michael Miner of Superior, Wisconsin, was admitted to a Duluth hospital on Thursday, June 13th, with a drug overdose. He died of a heart attack a short time later, probably induced by the drugs. Michael had been with a friend, Paul Taylor, at Taylor's home near 8th Avenue East and 10th Street that day. He was found several hours later near 10th Avenue East and 4th Street, acting very strange and afraid. The hospital soon discovered Michael ingested a mixture of drugs called a speedball. Duluth police would like very much to find out where Michael got the drugs. Michael's friend Paul Taylor drives a white Ford Escort, and the two had been together for nearly 24 hours before Michael overdosed. Maybe you know some of the places they visited. Don't let drugs kill anyone else. Call us. Tell us what you know. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
We are involved in stand-downs around the country, went to the VA and said, let's see if we can get this stuff for the homeless vets that are out there in this country. And since there's almost 100,000 homeless veterans on the street, we needed to do something.
It's the second biggest shopping season of the year behind Christmas, and it's well underway. A recent national poll said that many people won't spend as much this back-to-school season, but mall executives say that poll doesn't affect the Northland. People have already started back-to-school shopping. We saw it starting about a week ago, and it's just picking up and gets heavier and heavier every weekend until school starts.
Well, as you can see, it's that time of year again, and parents say that they have some suggestions on how to tackle this season. They say come early and make a list.
We've been looking through the papers that come, and each of the kids make their own list, and they've been going through the drawers and closets at home and getting their lists ready, and we try to combine a little bit, but it's worked out pretty good this year.
This mom says she plans to get her soon-to-be third graders shopping done in a day, but it's going to take some time.
He's going to third grade, so he knows kind of what he has to get and stuff, so. But it's taken him 5 minutes to decide on what crayons to get.
I like that one. Under that one. Other shopping moms say they'll just get the necessities for now.
I'm just picking just little stuff right now, like little book, crayons, backpacks. Get them ready, just a little bit for just starting.
So for all you parents who have to get the right color folder or the character backpack for that special student, retailers will see you soon. In Duluth, Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
I don't have any inside information, but we're uneasy and concerned when we see reorganizations and shakeups at any of our major companies.
But you may have to give me a private presentation.
It's steep out west, and the air tends to be a little thinner and sometimes smoky. So we want to make sure that they're in good physical condition. And now our task this week is to tone them with a good mental condition.
They are as sensational a set of headlines you might find in local news. Cops photographing a stripper nude in a squad car. A vice officer stripped to his underwear on stage. Police getting private lap dances, and strippers performing at private cop stag parties. That's where one of the dancers claimed it was probably one of the worst experiences of her life. These are pictures of the primary officer allegedly involved, William Bjorklund. He's a vice officer, shown here, raiding a downtown massage parlor. Here he's at a raid on a home. We're not showing his face because he's vice, often undercover, and he's not been charged with any crime. Bjorklund's been reassigned to administrative duties. Bjorklund is the officer allegedly stripped down to his underwear on stage. And he's implicated, in quotes attributed to himself, in the photographing of a dancer nude in a squad car. Other claims against officers in the vice unit include allegations that when they found evidence of an underage dancer at the club, they notified the club's management, not the prosecutors. They're accused of not pursuing admitted sexual contact between dancers and customers. Dancers are quoted in the Star Tribune story saying they were tipped off to vice raids in advance. What is not clear in the mountain of allegations from the Star Tribune is when many of these alleged wrongdoings occurred. Nothing specifically alleged to have happened in the last 2 years, and that was the one place where city leaders looked to get out from under it all.
There were not a lot of dates in there, so it's very difficult to determine when indeed some of these things happened. This police chief has been with us approximately 18 months now, and I was not reading things happening from that point forward.
In short, Cherryholm said while they need to investigate what happened in years past, these types of things are not as likely to occur under this new chief with his new rules. Councilmember Walt Dietzick sees things differently.
It's a bad mark for the city and an extremely bad mark for the police department. And I'm calling today that the 3 deputy chiefs that Olson has in place be fired immediately.
I don't believe anyone here in this group is about destroying the RBC building because all the records are there, and that's what the people want.
You should be nice to other people, and you should treat them the way that you want them to be treated.
This is Evangeline.
It takes a pretty contented cow to let just anybody milk her. And Evangeline was going to give a bunch of city folk just that experience. And a bunch of city folk were looking forward to it. Colleen Wackrick and her cousins Nathan Dickman and Lacey Purcell, for example, had come to see horses. But prospects to do something they'd never done before appeared a little better here in the cow barn.
Oh, you're very good at that. Have you done this before?
No.
Boy, you better ask your folks if you can go buy a cow, because you look like you can handle that pretty good, okay?
It's kind of easy because all you do is go like that.
Yeah?
And then you wait for the milk to come down and then you go like that again.
It was neat to see families enjoying one another, doing things they wouldn't otherwise do. And of course, that's what drew them, that and the low prices.
I think it's a family get-together. That's what they call it, and that's what we do. Get the kids together, and I have my nephews and nieces up here for Winona, and so show them the big state fair.
That's the idea. Ken Speak, KARE 11 News at the Great Minnesota Get-Together.
Irv was murdered while pulling a senior citizen out of harm's way, protecting others. That's why Irv wanted to be a police officer.
Has found plenty of success at home plate. The Duke's catcher has hit 17 home runs for the home team this year and well over 100 in his Northern League career. But when he steps up to the plate at Wade Stadium Friday night, he won't be armed with a bat. He'll be holding a ring.
Actually, my idea was to get married in the Grand Canyon. I was going to surprise her and ride donkeys down to the bottom and have somebody waiting for us. And I had mentioned to her a little surprise, and then she talked about, hey, you know, Duluth's been nice to us. Let's do something for them, and let's get married at the field.
Angela Dampier is Cool's blushing bride-to-be. She says baseball is what brought the couple together, and it's only fitting that they wed where it all began.
Duluth is where, you know, I kind of sealed it with him. You know, I really committed to him was when he was playing for the Whiskey Jacks. I came down with him on a road trip. And we had the best time. The moon was so full, you could almost reach out and touch it that weekend.
The couple is excited about getting married before the home crowd. For them, the wedding ceremony is filled with symbolism.
She wanted to do it on the field, and then I decided that if we're going to do it on the field, we're going to do it with Thunder Bay because of the fact I played there, and that's where we met, and it's kind of the meeting of Canada and America and bringing it together.
Cold says getting married before a capacity crowd at Wade Stadium would be his ultimate dream. Even if the Dukes lose Friday night, this couple will definitely chalk one up for the win column. Jason Rice, Channel 6 News.
Of people for the last 2 years now. We've been investigating several people that have come to the city of Duluth from Detroit, for instance, strictly to deal crack cocaine.
Normally the traffic doesn't go very fast there. There really isn't any reason to run off the road like that.
I believe that work is how we define ourselves. It's how we give to our families and give to our society. I'm really proud to have the support of the labor unions.
Reservation center that would not have...
And all of the American community can be proud of George Sundstrom.
Certainly in the last 2 years, we've seen a heck of an assault on a lot of standards of working people and whatever, and in spite of the attack on the Team Act and health care and everything, we came out of that assault.
A 58-year-old Bayfield County Sheriff's Department officer was shot this afternoon. Richard Parquette was shot at this apartment building right behind me, an upstairs apartment, and what happened after a 6-hour standoff this afternoon. At 10:30, the officer was sent to report of a criminal activity going on, criminal damage. Graffiti was being painted on the door. When the officer arrived, the suspect upstairs opened the door when he entered the stairway that led up to the two apartments. The suspect opened fire, shot the officer many times. It happened again at 10:30. The suspect had an automatic rifle and he opened fire, shooting the officer. He was dead on the scene. 6-hour standoff. Officers from Bayfield County and surrounding areas surrounded this apartment here. When they stormed the building to get the suspect out, they found the 36-year-old Ron Fisher inside with self-inflicted gunshot wounds. He was from Hayward, Wisconsin, and apparently spent his summers here this afternoon. They don't have any more information at this time, and that's what we know from Cable, Wisconsin. Back to you.
Since she came out of a breeding compound, she's not used to being right here. Yes, now known as 9 fingers. These days, zoos no longer have just the function of providing a place for entertainment, but also education and conservation. And we're taking the idea of conservation very seriously here.
Tonight, what disease kills the most women in America? Breast cancer? No, it's heart disease. Surprise? You're not alone. Many doctors don't even know. Are you at risk? Don't miss our special series tonight on NBC Nightly News.
A sheriff's deputy gunned down in the line of duty is remembered at funeral services today. I'm Michelle Lee. Tonight at 6, we'll take you to Bayfield County, where hundreds of officers and squad cars made the journey to Cable, Wisconsin to pay respects to a fallen colleague.
Rush hour in downtown Duluth, we did the signal timing and thought we could shorten up the cycle lengths. We had been running an 80-second cycle throughout downtown.
And I look at 18,000 cars coming down Woodland Avenue at speeds 30-plus miles an hour. It's more like 45 or 50.
It's a 4-lane alternative, and I didn't hear very much about that 4-lane that would shift back and forth as it moved through intersections. And how many cars per day can 5 lanes handle? I think that's...
And what the foundation is going to be is a scholarship set up in the Duluth Superior area here for any student graduating from the local high schools who are going to go into physical education.